Have you ever felt like being nice just gets you nowhere, like the world doesn't play by the rules you were taught? If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. Today, we're diving deep into the mind of a man who looked at the world, not as it should be, but as it truly is. We're talking about Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, hold on.
Ho, ho, ho!
Before you click away thinking this is some boring history lesson, let me ask you this. What if the secrets to navigating the complexities of power, success, and even your own daily life were written down 500 years ago? Machiavelli's name has become synonymous with cunning, manipulation, and ruthlessness. We hear Machiavellian and think of a cold, calculating villain. But what if I told you that that's a massive misunderstanding? What if the ruthless power he described isn't about being a bad person,
Ho, ho, ho!
but about understanding the uncomfortable truths of human nature and power dynamics so you can protect yourself and achieve your goals? This isn't about becoming a tyrant. It's about opening your eyes. Machiavelli lived in a time of incredible chaos in Florence, Italy. He saw governments rise and fall, leaders betrayed, and fortunes lost overnight. He wasn't a philosopher in an ivory tower. He was a diplomat, a political advisor, right in the thick of it.
Ho, ho, ho!
He saw firsthand that leaders who relied solely on goodwill, on being loved, were often the first to be overthrown. His most famous book, The Prince, wasn't a guide for evil. It was a desperate, brutally honest handbook for a leader on how to hold a state together and create stability in a world that was constantly trying to tear it apart. So, what's the first big, uncomfortable truth Machiavelli throws at us? It's the classic question: is it better to be feared or to be loved? We all want to be loved, right? It feels good.
Ho, ho, ho!
But Machiavelli points out a harsh reality. Love, he says, is held by a chain of obligation which, because men are fickle, is broken at every opportunity for their own advantage. Fear, however, is held by a dread of punishment which never fails. Think about it in your own life. Not in I'm going to make everyone fear me kind of way, but in terms of respect. You might love a friendly, easygoing boss, but do you respect them when things get tough?
Ho, ho, ho!
Or do you respect the boss who, while fair, has clear boundaries, holds people accountable, and whose disappointment you genuinely don't want to earn? That fear isn't terror. It's a deep-seated respect for consequences and authority. Machiavelli understood that relying on the shifting sands of affection is a weak foundation. A foundation built on respect, on a clear understanding of boundaries and consequences, is far more stable.
Ho, ho, ho!
The next ruthless idea is one that trips a lot of us up. The appearance of virtue is often more important than virtue itself. Ouch, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? It sounds like he's telling us to be fake. But let's unpack it. Machiavelli argued that a leader should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, and to be so, but to be ready to act in the opposite way when necessary. This isn't about being a two-faced liar. It's about strategic adaptation. Imagine a CEO who is always 100% honest and transparent.
Ho, ho, ho!
One day, she learns the company might have to do layoffs in 6 months. If she's brutally honest and announces it immediately, what happens? Panic. The best employees jump ship, productivity plummets, and the company's problems get even worse, making the layoffs a self-fulfilling prophecy. A Machiavellian leader would understand the need to maintain an appearance of stability and confidence to guide the ship through the storm, while working behind the scenes to try and prevent the layoffs.
Ho, ho, ho!
It's not about deceit for personal gain. It's about understanding that sometimes the raw, unfiltered truth can cause more harm than good. It's about choosing the right action for the greater good of the organization, even if it feels uncomfortable. This leads us to another core concept: the ends justify the means. This is probably the most twisted and misunderstood phrase of all. It's been used to justify horrible things. But for Machiavelli, the end he was talking about was specific: the stability and preservation of the state.
Ho, ho, ho!
He wasn't saying you can do anything you want for your own selfish desires. He was saying that a leader, tasked with the well-being of millions, may have to make difficult, morally gray decisions to prevent a far worse outcome, like a civil war or a foreign invasion. Let's bring it down to a personal level. Have you ever had to deliver a tough message to a friend to prevent them from making a huge mistake?
Ho, ho, ho!
You knew it would hurt their feelings in the short term. The means were unpleasant, but the end was saving them from a much bigger disaster. That's a micro version of this principle. It's not an excuse for cruelty. It's a recognition that leadership, and even life itself, sometimes forces us into choices between bad options, and we must have the courage to choose the one that leads to the least overall harm. So, how does any of this apply to you, a person just trying to live your life in the 21st century? You're not a Prince of Florence.
Ho, ho, ho!
But you are the ruler of your own life, your career, and your relationships. The world is still a chaotic place, and human nature hasn't changed all that much in 500 years. Machiavelli teaches us the power of realism. Stop wishing people were different. Stop getting frustrated when they act in their own self-interest. Instead, anticipate it. When you're in a negotiation at work, don't just rely on your good relationship with the other person.
Ho, ho, ho!
Understand their motivations, what they have to gain or lose. That's not being cynical, it's being prepared. It's playing chess while others are playing checkers. He also teaches us the importance of being adaptable. He used the metaphor of the fox and the lion. A leader, he said, must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. You can't just be one or the other. You can't just be strong and forceful all the time. You'll walk right into every trap.
Ho, ho, ho!
And you can't just be cunning and cautious. You'll be powerless when a direct show of strength is needed. The real power is knowing when to be the lion and when to be the fox. In your own life, there are times for diplomacy, for careful planning, for fox-like behavior. And there are times when you need to be the lion, to stand your ground, to be assertive, to say no and mean it. Facing these ruthless truths isn't about losing your soul. It's about gaining control.
Ho, ho, ho!
It's about taking off the rose-colored glasses and seeing the machinery of the world as it operates. By understanding these dynamics, you're no longer a victim of them. You can navigate office politics without being consumed by them. You can build stronger, more realistic relationships based on mutual respect, not just fleeting affection. You can make tougher decisions with clarity and confidence.
Ho, ho, ho!
The power Machiavelli talks about is the power of clear-sightedness. It's the courage to look at the uncomfortable realities of human nature and power without flinching. It's ruthless only because it cuts through our comforting illusions. But on the other side of that illusion is a more solid, more resilient, and ultimately more effective way of moving through the world. It's not about being feared, it's about being respected. It's not about being fake, it's about being strategic.
Ho, ho, ho!
It's not about the ends justifying any means, but about having the wisdom to make hard choices for a greater good. Maybe the real fear isn't Machiavelli's ideas themselves, but the fear of admitting that he might have been right. The fear of admitting the world is more complex and less fair than we'd like it to be. But once you face that fear, you become infinitely more powerful. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. If this gave you a new perspective, let me know in the comments.
Ho, ho, ho!
I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether Machiavelli was a teacher of evil or a master realist. And of course, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content that challenges the way you see the world. Until next time, stay sharp.
Ho, ho, ho!